you're in, you can hear me. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Quiet in the chat right now. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me before I start rambling. Hell yeah. All right. Give it a few minutes for people to roll in here. Let me know what you're drinking. We got Ballast Point, San Diego's own, in honor of the Padres and the NLCS. Let me know what you're drinking. Let me know if you're watching the Padres. Got chocolate milkshake, ice water, protein shake, Old English, peach Red Bull, bourbon and water. Michael Jimenez says, acknowledge me, Pop. Michael, put in the chat what you're drinking, and you'll get a shout out. David's drinking soup. We got root beer. The Tears of My Enemies. Cool. Harlan Japanese Lager. Oh, that was the one I had on the last stream. Harlan, if you want to sponsor me, I'm open. I got Dos Equis, Sam Adams Oktoberfest. There you go. That's in season. LaCroix, Whiskey Coke, Heineken. We got Fran coming in from Argentina. We're global here at Hops with Pop. What's up, Fran? Drinking water. David says he's drinking Ben & Jerry's. I don't know how that works. Maybe he melted it. Did I see what Rich Eisen said? No, I didn't see what Rich Eisen said, Bob. Let me know what Rich Eisen said. Much better on YouTube. This might be a 2-beer stream, guys. Might be a 2-beer stream. Might be. It's been a long day. Yeah, YouTube is cozier. I know. The live rooms are just a little official. I'm figuring it out. Figuring out what's best. We'll do a little bit of both. Squeeze in the YouTube shows when we have a chance. All right, we got Euritos. Make it a 3-beer stream. Maybe. I wouldn't mind sitting down with some dinner and watching this 9th inning, though. What else we got? Pacifico is valid, Austin. Pacifico is delicious. Got a White Claw. All right. We got a good amount of people in here. So Chargers beat the Broncos 19-16, and I got to start this stream off with a rant because I just got some things I got to get off my chest. All right? This fan base is way too negative. You guys have to have some more positivity. And listen, okay? I understand it. Haven't been to an AFC Championship game since 2006. Never won a Super Bowl. It's been a lot of tragedy involved with this organization, and I understand it. But the negativity is over the top, okay? It is hard to win in the National Football League, and I know that sounds like a cliche, but it is hard. And this team is on a 3-game winning streak, okay? They are 4-2. They are tied with the Chiefs for the best record in the AFC West. They are 1 game behind the Bills for the best record in the AFC. Has it been pretty? No, absolutely not. Are there issues? 100%. But most teams in the NFL, vast majority of teams in the NFL have issues. It's about how you adjust to those issues. And I feel like the Chargers have adjusted pretty well to their issues. You have a coach who's willing to make those adjustments, right? You come into the season expecting Rashawn Slater to be even better than he was last season. He gets hurt. Storm Norton comes in. We all saw it. It wasn't good enough. So what does Brandon Staley do? He turns to a rookie and gives him a shot. J.C. Jackson, they paid him $82.5 million this offseason. Supposed to be a premium corner. Not getting the job done. What does Brandon Staley do? He benches him at halftime, goes to Michael Davis, and everything turns around. So are there issues? Absolutely. And I understand if you want to complain about stuff, but you have to look at it in context. The team is on a 3-game winning streak. They're 4-2. So I just had to start there, all right? A little more positivity. And I understand that fan is short for fanatic and that you guys are going to be crazy about your team, and I totally get that, right? But keep everything in perspective here. 3-game winning streak, 4-2. Tied with the Chiefs for the best record in the AFC West. Winning close games in different ways. It's okay to have your complaints, have your issues, while also understanding that there's a lot of positivity here as well. Am I wrong? You let me know. That's kind of where I'm at. It just feels like, and I don't know if it's just a loud minority on Twitter that's constantly complaining, but it just feels like even after wins, there's just so much negativity. All right, so let's start there. 19-16 win. It was really ugly. Listen, this Broncos defense is legit. Like, they aren't giving up points. They aren't giving up much yards to anybody. And so it was going to be an ugly game. I wrote about it during the week multiple times. I said it on podcasts. I said it on the radio. This is going to be an ugly game. I had a 16-9 prediction. Chargers win. They end up winning 19-16. It was just one of those games where you had a really good defense on the other side. The Chargers are down Corey Linsley. The offense is completely different when Corey's in there and when he's not. Justin Herbert is averaging 0.29 EPA per dropback when Linsley's on the field. That would be tied with Patrick Mahomes for second in the NFL. When Linsley's off the field, he's averaging negative 0.15 EPA per dropback, which would be 31st in the NFL behind Joe Flacco and Carson Wentz. So when you don't have Corey Linsley out there, as Brandon Staley would say, the movie's going to look a lot different. It's hard to run the ball without Corey Linsley in there. The pass protection breaks down, and it's going to be a slog when he's not in there offensively. That's just the reality of it, especially against a defense of that caliber. But I think positively, you take away from this game the fact that the special teams won the freaking football game. I mean, when's the last time that you could say a Chargers special teams group won a game, like really won a game? All right. That punt at the end was not a mistake. Jasir Taylor was coached up to attack that second level blocker and push him into the returner if the situation developed that way. And that's exactly what happened. You got good coaching from Ryan Ficken. You're investing in the special teams. You sign an all-pro long snapper. You sign a new punter. You spend capital on these draft picks, whether it's Nick Neiman, whether it's Xander Horvath, whether it's Jasir Taylor, whether it's Dean Leonard, and these guys are getting coached up and they're playing well. And then you have to take your hat off to Dustin Hopkins, who powers through a hamstring injury to make 4 field goals with a strained hamstring that's going to keep him out maybe a month. The special teams was a story for me, the fact that they won that football game for the Chargers, and then the way the defense played in the second half. And I understand it's the Broncos, and they're a shit show on offense. But you hold Russell Wilson to -9 passing yards in the second half. You make that change. You bring in Michael Davis, who plays assignment sound football, and all of a sudden the defense comes to life. They're stopping the run. They're getting the Broncos into known passing situations, and then Brandon Staley is able to scheme up these pressures. Drew Tranquill gets home for a sack, 2 sacks. The first one he was blitzing as well and was able to read it and go chase Russell Wilson down. The second one was just schemed up perfectly. Tranquill timed it up and got home. And then you had Derwin James come home on a sack as well on a blitz. And this is what happened in those first 2 games in the Chiefs and Raiders game. We really saw this defense come to life because they were able to stop the run, getting a known pass, and then Brandon Staley was able to dial up these blitzers. And the Chargers have great blitzers between Derwin James, Drew Tranquill, Kenneth Murray, even Bryce Callahan. The way that defense played in the second half should be super duper encouraging, even if it was against the Broncos offense. That sucks. They're terrible. So that's sort of where I'm at. Let's open up questions. All right, we got a video breakdown request for the film review. The inside linebackers, Kenneth and Drew. All right. I was thinking about doing a Michael Davis film breakdown, just how he played in the second half, what it means for J.C. Jackson. But I could definitely pivot to the inside linebackers. Definitely to do something defensive focused. Because I feel like I've written about the offense a bunch. Did Jamari, and then I did the run game last week. So I'll probably do something defense. All right, what do we got? Where did this Luis Garcia guy come from? Throwing like 103. All right. JC benched in Seattle or against Seattle because it's a home game this weekend. We'll see. We'll see. What I can tell you is that Brandon Staley is going to put the player out there that he feels like gives him the best chance to win. I think he's proven that he's not going to just go with a player because he's making a lot of money. If he feels like Michael Davis is going to be more assignment sound, then he's going to start it. We'll see what happens in practice this week. I'll keep an eye on some of those defensive rotations when we're out there. It's a walkthrough tomorrow, so we don't have a viewing, but we'll be there Thursday and Friday, and we'll talk to Staley tomorrow and sort of figure it out in terms of what that's going to look like. I imagine we'll ask him tomorrow, and he's going to say it's a competition. We'll see, what happens. But Michael Davis went in there and played really well. Hats off to him, really, for being ready, being prepared, and going in there and just doing his assignments. And that was the thing that really jumped out to me in the locker room after the game, talking to Drew, talking to Bryce, talking to all these defensive guys. They're like, listen, guys were just doing their jobs. And I don't think, and these were general questions. They certainly weren't taking a shot at JC in any way, shape, or form, but they all said it to a man. Guys were doing their jobs. They were on their assignments. And when we do that, we're really hard to beat. And that's what it was. In that first half, you got cover 3 there. JC Jackson is defending a third of the field. His job is nothing deep to that third. And there's a post route to the inside. He gets caught with bad eyes, follows the post route, and leaves his third wide open. Like, that is basic shit. And I know he's a press man corner, but you're paying the guy $82.5 million. He should be able to execute cover 3. Like, you guys are very well versed in that defense. It's not hard. Like, Gus Bradley runs cover 3 because it's simple and because you should be able to execute it. I mean, that's like a basic mental mistake that you can't have a guy making that much money making. And then he just gets beat by KJ Hamler on a go route. Like, you can't get beat there in that situation in the 2-minute drill. And he also had a pass interference penalty. So we all saw it. He got benched for a reason. He's just making mental mistakes. He's not playing assignment sound football. He's not doing what the Chargers are asking him to do, and it's exposing the defense. And that's why you're seeing some of these explosive passing plays. So I'm not saying it's a lost cause. I think he's still a talented player, and we'll see if he can come around. But I think the encouraging part of this, if you're a Chargers fan, is Brandon Staley is willing to make these decisions. It's a tough decision. Brandon wanted this guy. He watched his film in New England and was like, this guy is going to be able to elevate our defense. You saw the behind-the-scenes stuff and All In. Like, he was super, super excited about signing this guy. And it hasn't panned out. But good organizations, good coaches, good general managers are willing to admit their mistakes. And right now, it's looking like a mistake, but at least you're willing to admit it, and then make the change when necessary. And that's what happened on Sunday. Think it's anything to do with the injury? Not physically. I don't think he's 100%, but he's not using it as an excuse. I think it's a confidence issue. To play that position, especially what they're asking him to do, you have to be a really confident player. And if you're not confident, it's going to lead you to play slow and make mental mistakes. And that's sort of where we're at here. He told me during the week when I talked to him, he's like, I just got to get my swag back. That's just getting your confidence back. I think he needs to get his hands on the football. I think he gets his first interception and it all changes. But is he going to get that opportunity? We'll see. I mean, if they trust Mike Davis more than they trust JC Jackson, Mike Davis is going to play. That's where it's at. David asked, why did Zion commit so many holding penalties? It was a tightly officiated game, so I think that was part of it. But I asked Brandon about it today. He said he felt like Zion was a little bit slow getting off the ball. In reality, like Corey Linsley, when he's in there, he's a force multiplier. So not only do you get good performance from him, but you get better play from the guys around him, particularly at guard, Matt Filer and Zion Johnson. He's able to elevate the play of those guys. And I think you see some of those weaknesses of those players exposed when Corey isn't in there. But yeah, not a great game from Zion Johnson, but he's had a really good start to his rookie season. I don't think it's any catastrophic development. I think he's going to be just fine from what I've seen on tape. He's going to have a long career as long as he can stay healthy, a long productive career as long as he can stay healthy. So just a poor performance from a rookie, but that happens. I don't think the sky is falling. So Jorge asked, from what I saw in training camp, was JC showing signs of being Mr. INT, or was he really struggling? So that's the thing that's really puzzling about all this, is that he was balling in training camp. And that's why all these theories about scheme fit and is he playing enough press and all that, I don't buy that. Because when he came in training camp running the same scheme, he was playing really well. I see it as a confidence issue. The talent's obviously there. He's proven what type of player he is when he was in New England. He proved that he could play in the scheme during training camp. So I think he's just a player that's lacking confidence right now. And it's up to the Chargers coaching staff to figure out a way to get that confidence back. Because, listen, they have the depth, and you can go with Michael Davis. But if this defense is going to be as good as they want it to be, J.C. Jackson's going to have to be on the field playing like a premium corner. All right, guys, give me 1 second. I'm just going to tweet out the final thoughts. All right. We got Jose Alvarado on the mound. Austin Nola at the dish. Top of the order up next. Is Soto hitting second today? I literally just turned this game on before we started. Let's look. Soto hitting second. So Soto will get in that bat here. Need a base runner on. Is Keenan coming back for Seattle? We'll see. I'd probably say 50-50 right now. I mean, he wasn't close to playing this week. I mean, watching him at practice, he was doing like the first 5 minutes of individual drills. And then when they started running full routes, he was going to the side and running with the trainer, running like sprints or strides, whatever you want to call them, at like 60-70%. Staley said that he got to full speed during practice. We certainly didn't see that during the period open to the media. So we'll see. Like I said, Wednesday, tomorrow is no viewing because they're just doing a walkthrough. So Thursday will be the big day in terms of, okay, how's he looking? Is he running routes? All that kind of stuff. We'll see. I mean, the flip side of it is that you have the bye week coming up in week 8. So if you give him one more week off, it's really 2 weeks. And that would mean he comes back for week 9 in Atlanta, pretty close to fully healthy. I think 2 more weeks, especially a week off from practice, really resting. So I think that has to be part of the consideration. But yeah, we'll know more Thursday when the media gets back on the field. I can actually watch him move around. Sucks that Parham has another concussion. Yeah, just brutal. Feel terrible for the guy. Really feel terrible. I mean, such a scary situation in that Chiefs game last year. Works his way back. Looks great in the early part of training camp. Has that hamstring injury, knocks him out over a month, finally makes it back, second game back. He's having a good game, showing what he can do in terms of, some of those over routes, sail routes, big catch radius, making some plays. And then on his third catch, just hits his head on the ground after a hit and suffers another one. So Really feel awful for the guy. Hopefully he can, first and foremost, be healthy. Whether that's returning to football, not returning to football, whatever's best for him, but just really hoping for the best for him. Oh, Profar gets on. Here comes Juan Soto. Okay, good question. Break down the end of the half. So, honest question here. Who had issues with the? You're talking about the end of the half or the end of regulation? Because the end of the half was okay. End of the half was just. I mean, JC blew that coverage, lost KJ Hamler, and the Broncos got a field goal out of it. End of regulation, I can understand some confusion. So what issues do people have with the end of regulation stuff? Because they got the ball, 151 left, tie game, 3 timeouts. And as I wrote in my takeaways last night, I really didn't have any issue with how Staley managed the clock there. It felt like Twitter was losing their minds. People calling it coaching malpractice. Bouncing ball to third. He threw it away. He threw it away. He threw it away. What are you doing? What was that? It's got all day. What is he doing? Set your feet. Ay, ay, ay. I'm telling you guys, it's the ballast point. Bringing the Padres good luck. Okay, yeah. So, end of regulation, 155 left, 3 timeouts. What's the issue here? You guys tell me, because I didn't have any issues with it. Playing for OT, I didn't see it as playing for OT. And I felt like they were trying to get the game-winning field goal. I think it was twofold, right? Under no circumstances do you want to give the ball back to the Broncos. No circumstances. So you want to guarantee that it's either going to OT or you win. You don't want to leave enough time on the clock where you punt the ball back to the Broncos, even though they've been struggling. You don't want the risk of potentially losing there. So I felt like they really did a good job in terms of moving the ball close to midfield, right? Let's go through the play-by-play here. So the first down, there's that pressure, and Justin is wrapped up and probably should have been whistled down. Wasn't whistled down, flips to Eckler. They avoid a negative play there. Second down, swing pass to Eckler. Gain of 4 yards. At that point, you're not using timeouts there. No reason to use timeouts. You got plenty of time. Ooh. You have plenty of time there, and you don't need to use your timeouts, and you want to try and milk the clock down so there's nothing left for the Broncos. So then you get to a 3rd and 6, clock's still running. They snap it at 102. Austin runs that great angle route out of the backfield, picks up the first down. Clock's still running at that point. Still no need to take a timeout. You're at that point, they were at the 35. Manny pops out. Can't even advance the runner. Brutal. So at that point, right, it's a 3rd and 6. Clock winds down to 44 seconds. They get it off. Justin hits Josh Palmer on the out route. He gets out of bounds, and the clock stops at 38 seconds. They get to the line there, and they are at the 40-yard line. Justin audibles at the line there, calls the flat route to Everett, hits him. Everett does a great job breaking a couple tackles, gets out of bounds. 33 seconds left, 3rd and 1 from their own 44. So they needed to get to the plus 25. That's 31 yards. That was where they felt comfortable with Dustin Hopkins, but they probably would have let him rip it from longer. I mean, realistically, he probably is not making a 50-yard field goal with that hamstring, but he probably could hit from, 45, maybe 48, something like that. You probably give it a shot from there. Worst case scenario, he misses it. So you're probably looking to get to the 30. So you need 26 yards, 25 yards, something like that in 33 seconds with 3 timeouts. Feels really, really, you're in a good position at that point. And you've taken enough time off the clock where the Broncos aren't going to have a shot. And then they run. I thought Joe Lombardi called a great play there. You guys are always getting on him about not being creative enough. 3rd and 1, everyone's expecting the run. He calls a play action. They ran a little high-low concept where Xander Horvath is running to the flat. Gerald Everett's running a corner route, and Justin has Everett. I know I wrote after the game that he wasn't open, but I went back and rewatched it, and he could have hit him. Now, it would have been a little bit of a shaky throw just because that corner was driving down on it. I can understand why Justin held it. I mean, you can argue if he's open, not open. It looked like it was a plausible throw, though. Josh Bell down 2 strikes. The problem is Horvath runs that flat route. And as he gets out on the route from his spot in the I formation at fullback, Bradley Chubb hits him, strikes out, ball game. Padres down 1-0. So Horvath runs the flat, Chubb hits him, and kind of knocks Horvath back into Herbert's sightline. And what Brandon Staley said today is that probably disrupted his vision a little bit. You drop back, you feel somebody, you see him. The last thing you want to do in that situation is take a sack or throw a pick. He hesitates for that one moment, and the window closes to Everett. And eventually Herbert escapes pressure and hits Horvath. At that point, it's 4th and 1. Horvath basically gets back to the line of scrimmage. It's 4th and 1. Take a timeout. If you take a timeout there, either way, you're potentially leaving time on the clock for the Broncos. Either you fail the 4th down, they potentially have a shot at a game winner with Brandon McManus, or you punt the ball away and they have some time left to drive for a field goal. So I can understand, don't take the timeout with 1 second left and try the Hail Mary just to protect Herbert, go to overtime. But you want to take, at that point, they wanted to take one more shot at the end zone. You can argue that it put Herbert in unnecessary danger, but I don't think it was some malpractice game management decision. So that's sort of how I saw it. I thought it was fine. I think if they convert that 3rd and 1, if Horvath doesn't get knocked off his route, if Justin feels comfortable with the throw, if he hits Everett for 15 yards, you're in. All of a sudden, you're really close to field goal range. If Everett gets tackled in bounds, you bang a timeout, stop the clock with 25 seconds left, 28 seconds left, something like that. Now you've got 28 seconds. You're in plus territory, and you've got 2 more timeouts to use. You can operate in the middle of the field and set Hopkins up for a field goal. So I didn't think that there was a whole lot wrong with what Staley did there in terms of time management. If your argument is that the timeout to do the Hail Mary would put Herbert in unnecessary harm, I can see that. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can understand the thought process there. But that was really the only thing I thought you could argue with. So you guys tell me any flaws in that logic? Yeah. 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 So if the frustration is at the execution, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they didn't get the job done in that situation. It wasn't good enough, but I feel like a lot of the criticism was about the time management, and I didn't understand that. Yeah. So I'm seeing some stuff in there about dinking and dunking. I mean, were you guys watching the offensive line? I mean, Trey Pipkins had a bad game. He's dealing with this MCL sprain. He was not moving like himself. He's clearly not healthy, but there's a ton of pressure off the right side. Zion Johnson didn't play a good game. Will Clapp is a replacement level player. You got a rookie at left tackle, and you got a player in Matt Filer who's been really inconsistent this year. The protection was a mess. I mean, Justin was pressure on 38% of dropbacks. And that was with all this quick game stuff. I mean, it was quick game, smoke routes, bubble screens to Eckler, all of that. and they weren't really dropping Herbert back that often. And even still, he was pressured on 38% of dropbacks. So that's a factor. Like, you guys have to understand that in a perfect world, yeah, have 5 guys in protection, block it up perfectly, and give Herbert 4 seconds to throw the ball downfield. But that's not the reality that they're living in. So you have to find a way to produce yards if your protection is breaking down. And that's what was happening in this game. That's why the play calling was the way that it was, because the protection was a mess. So if they had more speed, that would change things. I think that's a big part of this, is that the personnel isn't there from a speed perspective now that Jalen Guyton is on IR. They don't have no speed. And like I've said on the streams before, it takes a 4-5 guy a lot longer to get 40 yards downfield than it takes a 4-3 guy. And they just don't have that speed right now. All right. We're going to wrap it up there. Beer's done. We're going to grab some dinner. My final thoughts just posted. So it's just wrapping up the Broncos game. Go check that out. I just tweeted it out. Takeaways from after the game are down below if you haven't read those yet. Appreciate everybody joining. Just a quick Hops with Pop tonight, wrapping up that game. Short week. Back to the facility tomorrow, so stay plugged into my Twitter for any updates. Doing a film review midweek. We'll get the Friday notebook on Friday, and then Seahawks coming to LA on Sunday. So have a good night. Appreciate you guys.